So early 1970s for the Toronto Maple Leafs, through the draft and other means, they were starting to rebuild as a franchise, which led to their medium and high success in the mid and late 1970s. Now, this player was taken in the draft with high promise, and although he only played a couple of seasons in Toronto, eventually moved on to the Islanders and Pittsburgh and other squads. He played a big part in the resurgence of Toronto, but his life before, during, and after hockey was tragic on many levels, and his life was what they call a level of gross misconduct, which is also the name of the book and movie that was done on his life in hockey. So today we're talking about the interesting case of the very talented, again, and the very troubled Brian Spencer. Now, Brian Spencer can best be described as maybe the first modern player that Toronto had. You look at the grinders and the aggressive players in 2021 that are all over the league. This guy was sort of the originator. Now, born in Fort St. James, British Columbia, September 3rd, 1949. He was drafted in the 5th round, 55th overall by the Toronto Maple Leafs in the 69 NHL entry draft. This was based on some really, really strong results with the Calgary Centennials of the WCHL, the Regina Pats, and Estevan and the Bruins and Swift Current Broncos of the WCHL. Now, his best season was his draft year with Estevan, 48 points in 53 games, including 19 goals, and he had 4 points in 4 playoff games. He finally broke in with Toronto in 1970, playing 9 games, and also played with the Tulsa Oilers for 66 games with 13 goals. 71, almost a full season with the big club, 9 goals and 24 points in 50 games. Tulsa, 14 points in 23 games. 72, 6 points in 36 games, and 14 with Tulsa. Now, the idea of Spencer's entry to the NHL led to tragic circumstances. His father basically took a mental collapse because he couldn't see the game on local television, and eventually was shot after confronting the one of the representatives at a local station why Brian's game of Toronto was not being shown. He was eventually shot to death. We'll talk about it in part 2 of the podcast, because the negative part of Brian's life is completely way different than his hockey career. Now, he was eventually taken by the New York Islanders, the expansion draft, and then moved on to Buffalo and Pittsburgh. No matter where he went, he was a fan favorite, a true hometown hero. Now, he was claimed by the Islanders in the June 6, 1972 entry draft, and mostly right wing in his career, although he would play left wing for the majority of the time. Now, he played on the first New York Islanders team in 72-73 and appeared in the franchise's first game on October 17-72 versus Atlanta. Now, he was one of only 2 New York Islander players to appear in all 78 games for the Islanders in 73, and decent statistics, ladies and gentlemen. 14 goals and 24 assists for 38 points with 90 minutes and penalties. Now, for some strange reason, he overstayed his welcome in Long Island. He was eventually traded by the Islanders to Buffalo in exchange for Doug Rombaugh on March 10, 1974. Now, in Buffalo, this is where he got his major popularity. After winning the New York Islanders Booster Club Most Popular Player Award in 73, he won Buffalo's Unsung Hero Award in 76. Now, he helped Buffalo get all the way to the finals of the 1975 season, only to lose in 6 games to the Philadelphia Flyers. That 75 season, he played 89 games in a regular season and playoffs, 4 assists in the postseason, 41 points in a regular season, again as a good defensive, offensive specialist, penalty killer, kind of protector for some of the major players like Perreault, Martin, and Robert. Now, after 2 seasons, more seasons with Buffalo, he was eventually traded to Pittsburgh for veteran Ron Schock, but he was eventually out of the NHL within a couple of seasons. By 1980, he was in the AHL with Springfield and Hershey, and although Hershey won the Calder Cup that year, he had left the team before Hershey Hershey took the title. Now, he was troubled by injuries in the early part of his career. During the Toronto 1970 training camp, he damaged ligaments in the knee, an injury suffered while he was working as an off-season hockey school. Now, he also missed part of the 74 season with a dislocated left shoulder and shoulder problems again in 75, where he had to play most of the year with a brace. Then had off-season surgery in June 75. Again, knee problems in 1976. Now, the Spencer was also highly respected by the WHA squads. He was drafted actually by the Jets in the 1972 WHA entry draft, the first one in February 72. Now, what he's most known for, which I talked about in the movie Gross Misconduct, if you have to see it, CBC would have the rights. It showed highlights of his first NHL hat trick, which was a 5-2 win for Toronto against Pittsburgh on January 9, 71. Now, of course, his nickname was Spinner, and he got this for his unique style of rapidly changing direction while under forecheck. Now, during his time in Tulsa, he also became involved with business acumen, where he owned a sporting goods store. Now, his career beyond hockey, he worked as a mechanic and truck driver in Palm Beach County, Florida, in the years prior to a major arrest for murder. So what we're going to be doing in the next podcast, ladies and gentlemen, the three main aspects of Spencer's career: the tragic loss of his father in that incident over the hockey game, him getting charged with first-degree murder, he was facing the death penalty, and also, of course, the unexpected death of Brian Spencer during a alleged botch robbery. Now, all the information I'm providing in Spencer in the second podcast is for what he called public information. I do not condone anything that occurred in the Spencer family, nor do I promote it. It's just an aspect. Sometimes time in hockey doesn't really reflect what the player will do off the ice. When he was on the ice, he was a great player, but he was off the ice. Again, he was larger than life. Very well loved in Buffalo. Well known for being gregarious. A lot of friends there. But when he was traded to Pittsburgh, it was a downward spiral from then. And life after hockey can be difficult, or before hockey starts. We'll talk about that. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is part one of our Brian Spencer two-parter. Stay tuned for part two, and thanks for listening. Bye.